Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning, and welcome to Lori Smith on Blog Talk Radio. It is Tuesday morning, 5:30 a.m. Calgary, Alberta time, and that's early. I'm glad to be here. I'm up early anyway, and I'm just so happy to be able to share this time with you. As soon as I can do it, I'll be on the air here at blogtalkradio.com, which is just awesome. And if you'd like to phone in, I'll just give you my guest call-in number now, and then I'll repeat it later on. If you'd like to phone in with any kind of topic suggestions, or if you want to tell your story, this is one child abuse survivor to another. And if you have any topic information regarding child abuse or adults suffering with child abuse, or you just want to talk or tell your story, please do phone in. My area code 917 and then 889-3736, and I'll be on about 15 minutes today, and possibly every day. I might change this to just 2 or 3 days a week. I'm not sure. I'm just seeing how I can manage it, because I'm up in the morning early, but I don't want to be sleeping in and missing the shows. So I'm gonna do this as long as I can and just check my schedule and stuff. I'm gonna actually, because I tweet these, and I also it's on the Blog Talk Radio. And if you want to send me a chat, you can. I got my chat window open. And if anyone would like to send a chat, make sure that you, if you want it to be private, make sure you put private on there. And that way I don't go speaking it out to the world. So, good morning. And today I thought we might talk about child abuse, post-traumatic stress disorders, and recovery and healing from growing up abused, or even if you were maybe not abused your whole life, but just encountered some horrible, stressful abuse, from sexual abuse from someone, or domestic violence, or whatever it may be. And there's recovery, there's hope, and there's healing out there. And I just wanted to. That's why I'm doing this show. Really, is just to show people that there's information there, and if you really just get on the internet and type in a few things like recovery or child abuse recovery or whatnot, you can see all the information there in front of you. And there's some great information. I'm actually running, this is sort of my study, is for this show, is actually my study for my own healing, because as I run into these articles, it just helps me out so much, right? So I'm just passing this on to you. And today I thought we might cover stages of recovery and healing, because it's great. Some information I found on Dreamcatchers for Abused Children's website. They have a child abuse handbook, and it was compiled by them. It's got some great information in there, and you can download that for free. It's a free resource, and it's full of all kinds of great information, plus phone numbers for all the states and local numbers down in the States especially, and some in the UK, I think. And they are just wonderful, and I love that website. It's really, there's a lot of information on there, and they are very upfront and forward about what they're doing, and I enjoy getting on that website, because the information is so, there's just so much of it. They've really taken the time to provide a lot of good information. So yeah, and you can catch them. Their website is dreamcatchersforabusedchildren.com. They're also on MySpace as myspace.com/abused_children. And they're on Twitter. You can follow them on Twitter. You can follow them on YouTube as Abused Children on YouTube, and LinkedIn, and all kinds of different places. And their mission, and I volunteer for them, so our mission is to, this is quote unquote, educate the public on child abuse signs, symptoms, statistics, intervention, reporting, prevention, to assist victims and survivors in locating the proper resources to help achieve and enable a full recovery. So, I mean, I just love their website, and I just suggest you get on there and check it out. Stages of recovery and healing. Here's I'll just start reading right from this information that I pulled off the web. This is the Child Abuse Handbook, compiled by Donna Cashier and Sandra Potter of Dreamcatchers for Abused Children. And stages of recovery and healing, it says, I'm going to quote, denial. It is not unusual for people to be trapped in this stage for many years after the physical nature of the abuse has ended. Many survivors develop addictive or compulsive behaviors while attempting to mask the feelings and emotions connected to child abuse, or child sexual abuse, it says here. Those who remain in denial about the definition of sexual child abuse, the truth about the most frequent sexual child abuse offender, are part of the reason. They said here, sex offenders have the opportunity to abuse children. We are responsible, quote, those who ignore the past are condemned to repeat it, unquote. Confused awareness. At this stage, people begin to recognize the connection between their past trauma and present concerns. This new awareness may introduce feelings of anxiety, panic, and fear, which this can lead to a diagnosis of post-traumatic stress disorder. And post-traumatic stress disorder, also known as PTSD, is an anxiety disorder that can develop after exposure to one or more terrifying events that threaten or caused grave physical harm. And then they go on and they say, reaching out. Survivors can be in a situation in which the perils of silence become more painful than the risk involved in speaking out. The healing process begins when we realize that we need help, and this is the most important step in healing. Receiving individual counseling and or joint support groups may play a role in the healing process. And then they say anger. After they reach out and become more aware of the impacts of the abuse, survivors often deal with intensified anger. This anger is an expected, natural part of the healing process. Thoughts of disclosure and confrontations may dominate this stage. Anger may be channeled towards anyone who excused or protected the abuser, anyone who did not believe their disclosure of the abuse, and anyone they feel should have been concerned but never took steps to help. And that's quite interesting. I know I find in my own walk, dealing with, child abuse and post-traumatic stress disorder and stuff, I know that, there were people around that I felt could have stepped in and didn't. And then the one family that did step in, I really have a lot of good things to say about those guys, because they really cared enough to confront my mother. And I mean, in my blog, I didn't write it down in my blog, I don't think. Oh yes, I might have mentioned it, that the lady that went down to see my friend's mother, that went down to see my mom the day that she went down to confront her about what my mom was doing to me, she said, I was actually afraid for this lady, because I thought my mom was going to beat her up. I thought, oh man, this lady's going to go down there, my mom's going to trash her. That was my, feelings on the whole thing. But this woman was a tough lady, and she handled herself quite well with my mom and put her in her place and told her that was enough. And, if they knew any more, if they saw anything else or heard anything else, they were going to the police. And so, my mom really, she knew that there was somebody actually watching the situation. She didn't really care, but, it was sort of in the back of her mind then that she had to kind of be careful what she was doing. So, yeah, anger towards people that could have stopped the abuse, whether it's sexual abuse or physical or verbal or emotional, just any kind of abuse that children suffer at the hands of caregivers and other adults and even other youths in their life. This just happens to people all over the place, and I don't have the statistics right now, but it's just involves so many children, and we all grow. Well, not all of us, but quite a lot of us get the opportunity to grow up, and we're left with this mess. And if you don't heal from it and you don't deal with it, it can really affect your adult life, and so it can cause depression. So here this is part of the Dream Catchers for Abused Children Child Abuse Handbook, which is what I'm reading from this morning. And if you want to phone in, you have something that you might like to discuss, or maybe you just want to tell your story, you're more than welcome to. And my area code 917-889-3736, and that's we're talking about recovery and sort of the recovery process from post-traumatic stress disorder related to child abuse, sexual abuse, and any kind of really trauma or abuse that a person might suffer. So depression at this stage, I'm quoting right from their page, adult survivors may recall the negative messages or criticisms that they received from their abuser as a child. And if these seem valid to the adult survivor, they may cause him or her to become depressed when faced with and unable to make positive changes. If symptoms and triggers of their depression are identified and an appropriate support team is found, the chances of their being overwhelmed with feelings of despair may be minimized. That's so, if you're depressed, or if I'm depressed because I'm recalling, something happens and all of a sudden it brings back the abuse, it sort of triggers it. I guess I call it a trigger. It triggers these feelings of that we felt as a child, and it can cause you to really become, like it said, just depressed, and despair might just sort of set in. And so if you get the help that you need, and you actually find an appropriate support team, like they said, your chances of being overwhelmed are actually minimized. So that's the whole thing. I'd suggest that myself. I know as I've been working, excuse me, as I've been working to get this information compiled for this Blog Talk Radio show, I've found some great info out there regarding groups who are. You can be anonymous on these groups. You can sign in as yourself on these groups. But there are lots and lots of groups of people who are just like you and me, who are searching for some healing and restoration in their life, and searching for a safe place where they can just tell their story and just get the help that they need. And there's great places out there that you can do it. And I know I'm part of a couple of networks: Silver Braid, domestic violence, and sexual abuse, sexual exploitation, the Silver Braid organization. And you can just type in Silver Braid, and it'll probably bring up all their stuff on the web. And there's a support group there. And I'm also part of child abuse survivors, safe place for survivors and supporters of child abuse, and that's a great little Ning network set up by Mike McBride. And there's some great information there. And if you're hurting and you want to just be an anonymous person, you can go into these, you can register to be on these chat rooms, and you can go in and you can find help just even online. So this way, daily, you can go, like I do, just about every day, and check in and see what the topics people are bringing up, because a lot of the topics don't pertain to me, but some of them do. And the ones that pertain to me, I tend to pay attention to, because I know, like, these people are dealing with the same thing, or they have dealt with the same thing. And you can put your questions on there yourself. You can bring up discussion topics and get the answers that you need. And I would just suggest that you just keep reaching out. That's my that's my call to action. Just keep reaching out, because the more you keep reaching out, the more you're likely to run across a group of people, or someone who actually just has the right information for you and can just help you out, right? It can be done. I'm proof. There's so many of us that are living proof. And if you'd like to be on my show, just let me know. I'd be glad to have you as a guest. I've got about 1 minute left, and I'm just going to read out some important phone numbers here in Canada. Child Abuse Hotline, 1-800-387-5437. And if you are family violence information 24 hours, that's 310-1818. And Calgary Women's Emergency Shelter, 403-234-7233. You can go in on your phone book and dial 911 if you need help. Make sure that you get the help that you need. And don't sit there and suffer in silence. You can go on, there's a whole bunch of websites. You can email me and I can give you this information. And maybe tomorrow we'll spend some more time looking into some of the websites and just some of the information that I got on those websites regarding recovery and healing. And because there is some great websites out there. There's the Real Grace for Women Network, which is www.realgracenetwork.org. They're a faith-based organization designed to guide women who have been wounded and abused along the path of healing. That's a quote-unquote. You can go right on their website. They've got a great program set up there, and I'm going to get a little bit more information from there as well. And there are just so many organizations out there. We are adult survivors of child abuse by E. Diane Champay at www.wearesurvivors.org. Great information on there about adult survivors and the things that you need to know for your healing and recovery. I hope you have a great day. I'll be back tomorrow morning, 5:30, and I hope you'll join me then. Take care until then. Bye-bye.